All right, so let's have some fun and talk about things that are a bit outside of my belief systems, but nonetheless, I still find them to be endlessly interesting. And this primarily has to do with aliens, UFOs, UAPs, but also linked up to that, things more along the lines of what I typically would cover on the channel, like astral projection type of stuff, remote viewing, psychics, and things like that. But for starters, when it comes to aliens, UFOs, and UAPs, do you folks think that they're real? Personally, I'm not quite there yet as much as I want to be. Like, even though I don't truly believe it yet, it's still one of my favorite rabbit holes to fall into. Like, anytime Joe Rogan will have, like, any of these UFO guys, like Jeremy Corbell, David Grush, or something like that. I always love checking them out. Those are some of my favorite episodes to listen to. I'll listen to, like, Weaponized with Jeremy Corbell every once in a while to scratch that itch. But, like, anytime they have these new, like, videos released from the government or leaked from the military, I always love checking that out. I'll look at all the different interviews and get all the different takes on those as well. And then also, anytime these new documentaries come out, I love to watch them too, but particularly the documentaries where, they don't come off as sounding like charlatans or quacks to me. Although I do watch some of those too, like even, like I really think this show is ridiculous, but like Ancient Aliens. Ridiculous that show, but I still find myself watching it relatively often. But they had a good documentary come out here recently from Jeremy Corbell that was put on by TMZ and was like exclusive to Tubi, so I had to go ahead and download Tubi just to watch these episodes. And it was really good. Now, granted, even when it came to that documentary, because I'm already so into this stuff and follow Jeremy Corbell and all that, everything they showed on there, I basically already knew, I already saw, I already have all of his takes on it. Like even with the jellyfish UAP video that premiered in that documentary. By the time I watched the documentary at nighttime, I saw that video online and I already watched everything I could about it. So even when I got to that portion of the documentary, I still had all their takes on it for the most part. But nonetheless, super interesting. Pounded through those 3 episodes as fast as I could. Then when I was going to sleep after watching them, I ended up getting lucid. And when I was listening to my dream, I thought, oh, hey, why don't I try calling out to the dream and asking if UFOs are real? And I didn't really expect anything to happen. Most of the time when I call out questions like that to the dream, I don't get really clear, obvious, direct responses. Versus when I call out stuff like different types of commands, like, increase stability and things like that. Most of the time, that stuff will affect my dream and make it more stable. But when I call these other types of questions, like, is God real or something like that, I don't get really clear answers. And I didn't this time either. I call it out. Didn't hear no voice from the heavens come booming down, being like, "Yeah, they're real. You just watched a documentary. What do you think?" Right? Nothing like that happened. The dream scene didn't change, but I did have this moment of insight that just kind of like smacked me upside the head, and it wasn't even it wasn't like a thought that's never crossed my mind in waking life before. But sometimes when you get these moments of insights within the dream, they can just hit so much harder. And that moment of insight was, even though I do not consider myself religious at all, though I would consider myself to be spiritual now, I definitely don't follow any religion, and I like not following any religion. It gives me a sense of freedom. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. But the insight I got from this dream was, I do have a religion, and it's this Western way of thinking. I'm so indoctrinated into it and following it for so long that basically acts like my religion. So even when I'm presented with this information on UFOs and UAPs that apparently, they're interacting with their aircraft carriers all the time, they're shutting down nuclear test sites, all these other things. Even when I'm presented with that, I can't bring myself around to believe in it. And then to wrap this thing back into kind of more of this lucid dreaming side of stuff, something I found this to be super interesting. I think I first heard this maybe like a year or so ago when David Grush or Jeremy Corbell, one of them, was doing an interview or talking about it. They were saying how maybe these aliens aren't even coming from some other planet out there in the universe. They could be coming from like different dimensions of reality. And then I think it was, well, I think they both referenced it, but then they'll talk about like the old Stargate program that the government was putting on where they're doing like remote viewing and psychics and all of that, and how they're saying, maybe it's not even aliens. Maybe it's like us from some other dimension or us in the future that are coming back to like, observe us in the past or something like that. And, that really piqued my interest. And that just really has me hungry to, like, I want to believe in these aliens. I think if I could just get myself there, it would really free me up and open me up to these other, areas like astral projection, being able to OBE into waking reality, remote viewing, mutual dreaming, and stuff like that. It would open me so much more to that and then I could truly go and explore. Because I think one of the major roadblocks for me when I have tried to explore that in my dream practice before, because my core belief is that that stuff isn't real or possible, like everything within the dream world, if that's your true expectation and belief, it's going to have a humongous influence on the type of experiences you can have within the dream. So maybe that's why some of these times I've tried to do like mutual shared dreaming experiments. I like doing them, but because I don't actually believe it's possible, that itself could be the main limiting factor in me being able to actually have those experiences if they truly are possible. But yeah, kind of rambled on there. But yeah, when it comes to aliens, what do you guys think? Do you think they're real? Also, when it comes to these other, like astral projecting or going to different levels of reality, or mutual dreaming, psychics, and all that stuff, remote viewing. What are your guys' thoughts on that? And yeah, if you guys have any good documentaries on, some of the more dreaming side of stuff, like or near-death experiences, being able to astral project or out-of-body experience yourself into waking reality. If you have any good like experiments or documents on that where people tried to really test it out, send it to me. I would love to dig into it. Until then, though, I guess if you guys have any proof of aliens, let me know because I want to believe, and then that could really help free me up and open me up to other avenues of thinking. Something I forgot to add into the other video really quick here is I grew up very religious, right? So I'm going to church most Sundays, praying every single night. Then eventually around high school time-ish, I go full-on atheist before circling back around to spirituality through my lucid dreaming practice a bunch of years later. But I think, some of the things that were holding me in this Christian viewpoint for so long is, well, one for sure was that I was scared that if I stopped believing in Christianity, then I'm going to go to hell, right? Which is a scary proposition and definitely messed with me for a good chunk of years there. But I think another thing that was holding me back, and this lines up very closely, I think, to my Western view of the world, is that if I stop believing in Christianity, then I have to look back at myself and realize I was wrong for so many years, right? And similarly, when it comes to my Western way of thinking, like I want to believe in aliens. The proof is apparently right there in front of my face. These aircraft carriers are encountering these things all the time, and whatever type of technology this is, it is way beyond whatever we're currently capable of. But like even being presented with that, and still finding myself not being able to believe in it, I think a good chunk of that is, a sort of fear that I have of looking back at myself and realizing that, I was wrong for so many years. And potentially if it's like what, Jeremy Corbell and David Grush kind of point out, not only am I wrong, but I was like specifically brainwashed by the government to make me have these beliefs when in reality they have like all these, alien bodies and they're back engineering their spacecraft and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, interesting stuff there. That will actually wrap it up. Until the next video, keep your beliefs legit.